Hello. I want to show you a couple different radiator pressure test kits that I've tried here. Actually, at first I rented one from AutoZone because I needed one, and it was $280, and of course then you take it back, you get your $280 back. But I wanted to have my own, and I didn't want to spend $280. So I want to see what the next best thing is. So I went to Walmart.com and I got this GoPlus version here for $65. I thought that was a pretty good deal. It took about a week to get here. Normally I probably would have used Amazon, but the virus right now, Amazon's like 6 weeks for delivery. And then this is the HarborFreight version. This one is lists for $99.99, and of course you get your 20% off coupon that you just Google. It's on their website. So it's about an $80 kit. So really the only difference is about $15 in price between the two kits. The first thing you notice is that the molded case is very different. This the GoPlus one has these snaps, and I don't know about you, but on most of my tools, one of these snaps is broken. They just don't last very long. I don't know what happens. You push them down and then they break off. They're just cheap. The HarborFreight one has these slider locks, which is pretty cool. I've not really had any of those break unless you're really manhandling it. So that's kind of nice. So now we'll open it. The next thing you notice, again, I'm just talking about the case right now. Maybe you don't care about that, but the hinge here is just, just part of the molded plastic. So this will eventually, you open and close it too many times. Eventually this hinge is going to break, and then you're going to be closing it with duct tape. The HarborFreight version, I was surprised. These are real hinges in there. I assume these are steel core in the hinges, but these are real, an actual hinge. So that's kind of cool. So definitely on the case. And then the other thing about the case is the little booklet that they give you to tell you not to stick it in your eye. This one, the HarborFreight one, it's got its own little cubby. I keep these, although they're actually completely useless. The instructions are, again, like I said, just instructions say don't stick it in your eye. This GoPlus one, it was kind of jammed up in here, but it doesn't attach in any way. I don't know what made it stay when I first bought it, but there's nothing in there that holds it on. So at first I bought this one, and what I noticed was that I was showing leaks on cars. I've got 5 cars and a bike that are water cooled, and I was showing leaks with this one that I wasn't showing with the $280 one from AutoZone. So I was a little suspicious about this. I'd put it on a car that doesn't seem to leak, and I'd lose about 1 pound per minute, which isn't a lot, but if you just want to prove to yourself it doesn't leak, it's kind of nice if it doesn't do that. And this one doesn't seem to be happening. The other thing I noticed is that this adapter right here, this is your most common, this is your go-to. This is, every radiator made from the 1950s up until, like the 90s or whatever, when they went to pressurized reservoirs. It's got the 2 little ears. You stick it down in there and you like half turn it and it locks. And in fact, if you find that you have a car for which none of these adapters work, and you buy a universal adapter, the other end of it is for this. So this ends up being like the most important one. And this thing leaked all the time for me. You might be able to get it to not leak for a while, and then you'd bump it. You'd have it in the car and you would just bump it, and then all the pressure would come out. And the problem is, I've just got one finger here. Look at this. This spring is like nothing. Compare this to the HarborFreight version. Where is it? Is it this one? There's 2 that are similar. I think it's this one. It must be this one. This one, I'm squeezing it down, and I can't squeeze it down with my finger. And in fact, when you put it on, you're like just really shoving it in to get it on, and it does not leak. So I think the fact that this has like a decent spring is why it doesn't leak. And like I said, this is your most important one. Most cars are going to have, I don't know about most cars nowadays, but a lot of cars are going to have this. I have this on my Subaru and my motorcycle that are fairly newer, but older cars all have this. The other thing I noticed is that, I don't know if this reflects the quality, but I know on the really expensive kits, and include the $280 kit, they're color-coded by manufacturer, roughly. And these are all black. I don't know exactly if that means that these maybe were made from the same kit as the high-end ones, the adapters, and these ones just weren't. I don't know. As far as quality of plastic, I think this is ABS. I mean, this feels like ABS. This actually feels like it's not ABS. This feels like it's a little stronger. And it doesn't have that smoothness that ABS has. So these might be a little bit better. On the pump, honestly, I think the pump is exactly the same. They're plastic bodies. It's got a nice little gauge. The gauge works well on both of them, honestly. And it's a little press-on lock. You just push it down. See if I can do it with my hand. Maybe I can't. You just squeeze it on. Squeeze it on and it locks in. And then when you're done with it, let's see if I can do that with one hand. You just push this back and it ejects, pops out. This one, as far as I know, it's exactly the same. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't manufactured by the exact same company. They both come with a variety of adapters. I will say this, I don't think any of these adapters work on caps. So they'll work on pressurizing the system, but if you want to pressurize your caps, they don't work. They have a couple that have threads like caps, but they've got this bulge down here. So I don't know what these are actually for, but none of my caps, GM, Ford, Subaru, of course, none of my caps will accept it with this bulge in it, and this one too has a bulge. So I don't know exactly what these two are for, but I haven't found anything in either one of these kits that allow you to do caps. So if you want to test your cap, you might have to buy a separate adapter. And that's really what you're looking at when you're looking at these is, do you spend more money on a high-end kit that's got more stuff, obviously quality too, or do you you get a lower-end kit, but then, each of these adapters could be, they're around 30, 40 bucks. So pretty quick, you can end up spending more than the expensive kit. But I think this HarborFreight $99.99 one minus the 20% discount, I think this is a good balance. They both have this universal thing. So if it doesn't have one that fits, supposedly this will work. I've tried it on a few cars. It's a little bit hokey, but it's got these little grabbers. You stick it down on there, and then you use one of these 3 attachments that they just got this rubber boot on the bottom, and basically, trying to do this with one hand, it goes in like this. It's reverse threaded. So basically, you run this shaft all the way up, lock it in with these fingers, and then push the shaft in until you get pressure. You got to fiddle with it to get it on there nice and good. These little fingers are not perfect, but I guess if one of these didn't work, it's a possibility that one will work. A lot of the newer cars, though, it's not about covering up the cap. It's that the area around the cap is what's actually pressurized. Like in the GMs, you use this adapter, and the seal, they don't even show a seal in here, but the seal in here doesn't really, that's in the base, doesn't really do anything. Because what you're doing is you're sealing here, and the pressure relief when they blow off is, I don't know if you can see it, but it's in the side here. So basically the pressure relief bypasses these O-rings. So a lot of the modern caps are like that. So the idea is that if you blow pressure, it's going to come out these side rings, and there's actually a hose that sends it down the side of the car. So I don't know if they're just afraid of mechanics getting blown in the face with coolant pressure or whatever, but the old ones that vented out the top, they use these simple ones, but the newer cars, and especially the GMs, where they vent inside the cap, and then there's a hose coming out the side of the cap, they need these ones here. And honestly, both of this one on HarborFreight and for the GMs and the one on GoPlus didn't fit awesome, but it worked. At least on this one it didn't leak. The HarborFreight one, like I said, it leaked about 1 inch per minute. But on this one, it didn't leak. But when you screw in, it doesn't give a nice, satisfying lock. It kind of mushes in there, but it worked. So anyway, I got this thing to return here, return receipt here. This one's going back to Walmart. And in the end, I only spent $15 more, and I think I got a better kit from HarborFreight. So that's the comparison.